Oh, you go by that clock.
Yeah.
Oh,
2 minutes behind.
Oh. It's,
I didn't go with the program.
hello, everyone, and welcome to our city council meeting. It is 4:29 p.m. I call this meeting to order. We will begin with certifying a quorum and let the record reflect that we do have quorum. And then we'll proceed with our invocation and pledge of allegiance. Our invocation will be led by Deacon Mr. Fred Frazier with First Baptist Church, and then our pledge of allegiance will be led by Councilmember Mrs. Sandra Bowen. If we can all stand and
Thank you, Mayor, Council, members of the City of Alice. Dear and gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for such a beautiful day you've given us tonight. Lord, we ask you to continue to bless this city. Lord, as we move forward in the next coming years, may all decisions be made out of love and for the good of all people, from the youngest to the oldest, Lord. May none of us have an agenda that we can't find mutual ground on to make the city better. Let's be sure we're taking care of what we need to take care of. And let's include those that are young and those that are old, Lord. Lord, bless our school district. Bless our teachers, our city council, our mayor, Lord Jesus, Lord. The people who have to make these decisions, Lord, that we live with, Lord, and just, we got an election coming up, Lord, we ask, Lord, that the people that are elected, they'll do what you would want them to do, Lord, what you would lead them to do in a godly manner, Lord. Love, kindness, forgiveness, and mercy are words that you say are not requirements, Lord. They are not options, Lord. They are requirements of all of us to love our neighbor, to bless the widow, to look out after the orphan, Lord. Lord, we ask you to watch over the fire department, police department, all first responders, Lord, as they patrol our cities and take care of the things that need to be taken care of. We ask you to bless our nurses and doctors at the hospitals, Lord. See Halo flights here tonight, Lord. God bless them, Lord, for the job they do. And every night when I hear the helicopter fly over my house, I'm just say a prayer, because it's so important what they do, Lord, to get people where they need to be taken care of, Lord. May we all remember, Lord, that we're your children first, and we're family, and we need each other. So may we all put aside our differences to do what's good for the town, good for the citizens, and what you would want us to do, Jesus. Continue to bless this city, bless each business in town, those that are wanting to come, those that have been here for a long time, Lord. Just be with us all, and just help us to be there when we need each other. Don't leave it up to a couple of people to do your work. Let's find our laborers, and let's get busy getting it all taken care of, Lord. And these things we'll ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Place the flag and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Deacon. Thank you, Mrs. Bowen. Okay. We will move on to agenda item number 3, public comments. I don't have any public comments at this time, so we'll move on to our city council public comments. Mr. Chris?
We got some weather shifting out there. Be careful on the roads, and for all of the youth participating in the fair, starting technically already started, right? Because their animals are out there and everybody's getting set up. Just the best of luck. Congratulations, you're a winner, just because you're putting in an effort that a lot of others are not out there doing. You're taking a stance, and you're doing some things that will change your future. And to the community as a whole, Last year, we had some unfortunate events happen at the fair, so stay safe out there, keep your eyes open, and enjoy your company and family.
Thank you. Mr. Molina?
I just want to welcome everybody to the meeting. Thank you for attending.
Okay. Mr. Burke? Mrs. Bell?
Yes, real quick. This past Sunday, First Baptist Church celebrated 122 years being here in Alice.
Wow.
So congratulations to
Awesome.
them. They were established in 1900, and the city of Alice was incorporated in 1904. So it's pretty good in history there. So congratulations to them, and they are truly a blessing to our community. And real quick, let's not forget our Halloween events that are coming up. Stay safe and watch the children out there with traffic. And the downtown Halloween bash, everybody looks forward to. It's well attended, October 27th at 6 p.m. The city will be participating. We'll be out there in front of City Hall. So looking forward to seeing everybody's smiling faces and all those costumes. So God bless you all and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes. I also just want to thank everyone for all the events that will be happening within our community and those that have happened. And just stay safe out there. And if you'll notice, our city administration, Ms. Odie and Ms. Nelly, decorated our dais here. And thank you for doing that in remembrance of October for Breast Awareness or Cancer Awareness Month. So, and welcome everyone here. Okay, we will move on to agenda item number 4, presentations. And we have 2 proclamations we'll be presenting. The first one we will be presenting is to Halo Flight, and the next one will be to our domestic violence awareness. I'm going to ask some of my council members here to help me along with this. I'm not quite feeling 100%, so I get a little shaky and out of breath, so they're going to help me with the proclamation. So if we can join us down on the floor, and we'll welcome Halo Flight, and we will present our proclamation. Thank you.
How are you doing? How are you?
Jump in the back.
Hi, Diane Garza, nice to meet you.
We're tall enough for everybody to be able to see me. In the back.
Perfect.
I know I'm going to be in the back. I'm Robert Molina. Nice to meet you.
Squeeze in somewhere.
Our Mayor Pro Tem will be reading the
Who's
proclamation.
gonna get it?
Definitely
not in the back.
Okay. Proclamation in the office of the mayor, Cynthia Carrasco. Whereas in 1987, 2 concerned citizens in Falfurrias took initiative and organized the rental of aircraft and recruitment of volunteer pilots and medical crews to establish Halo Flight, a nonprofit air ambulance service. Whereas the founders of Halo Flight recognized the need for critical care and emergency transportation services in rural communities, and in 2012, Halo Flight strategically placed a base here in the city of Alice. Whereas 35 years later, Halo Flight now owns and operates a fleet of Bell helicopters and employs approximately 50 staff members committed to the life-saving mission. Whereas Halo Flight is a leader in delivering critical care and emergency transportation services while demonstrating the utmost dignity, and whereas the staff exemplified the mission of Halo Flight to provide emergency transportation and critical care services for patients regardless of their ability to pay. Whereas this year Halo Flight celebrates 35 years of service to South Texas, and whereas it is the people of Halo Flight, past and present, who have served its patients and this community for 35 years and will continue to do so. And now therefore, pursuant to the powers vested in the mayor of the city of Alice, I do on her behalf proclaim October 2022 Halo Flight's 35th anniversary in Texas, in Alice, Texas, and I encourage all our citizens to join me in offering our wholehearted gratitude and utmost respect to the invaluable efforts made by Halo Flight. Thank you so much. Let me step out of the way. Yeah. Don't want anybody.
I'll hang out over here.
Can you get closer? No, Pete. Just like on his own.
I disappear as I move sideways. Too short. We're good? We're good?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a blessed day. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. So nice to meet you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good to
Yes, thank you. Good to see you. Good to see you. What do we got now?
And then we have, oh, you brought it, okay.
Ron?
Who's this one
For domestic violence?
for? Do we have anybody to represent?
Yes. Are you here? Someone was supposed to be here.
Yeah, she's here.
She's here?
Okay.
Okay.
From Purple Door.
I'll hold it.
Perfect.
Or we have to
Yeah,
use it.
you can hold it while they're.
Okay.
Victor?
I'll hold it since I'm not.
Sure.
Welcome
She's gonna
again.
hold it and then
She wants to hold it, and then we'll put it there afterwards.
she will put it there.
Yes, we'll put it on the.
Those are in the meeting.
Proclamation, Office of the Mayor, Cynthia A. Carrasco. Whereas domestic violence is about power and control and often takes on many forms, including emotional, mental, and financial abuse. In the United States, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. Each October, domestic violence organizations coordinate and participate in local, state, and national events promoting advocacy and raising awareness. Whereas survivors of domestic abuse are left with lingering effects that usually stay with the survivors for years after the abuse has ended, an abusive partner will often use manipulative tactics such as coercion, control, and gaslighting to wear on the victim's spirit. These tactics may or may not escalate, however. The victim is enduring mental manipulation for years. Abusers must be held accountable for their behavior. By coming together as a community, we can help end the violence and let survivors know that they are not alone. Whereas the Purple Door encourages the Coastal Bend to come together and help make our communities safer for survivors and the members of our surrounding communities, we encourage everyone to reach out to the Purple Door or visit the National Domestic Violence Hotline and the National Network to End Domestic Violence websites for resources on digital advocacy. Follow the Purple Door on Facebook and Instagram at Purple Door Texas for more ways to get involved. Now therefore, be it resolved that the City of Alice, Texas Council joins the Purple Door in bringing awareness to domestic violence awareness and prevention and proclaims October 2022 to be Domestic Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. In testimony whereof I raise my seal and cause the effect of the seal of the City of Alice on this 18th day of October. Cynthia A. Carrasco, Mayor.
And one for her.
It's a lot of them, right?
1, 2, 3. Okay.
That was very Hollywood paparazzi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for making it. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ah, there you go. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's nice. Give them that.
Okay.
Never sat down with me
It's at purpledoor.tv.
and so they want to bring up.
Oh, thank you.
Pete pushed me.
It's Pete's fault. Okay. Thank Thank you so much for doing that, Council, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem
Yeah, thank you.
and Mrs. Bowen, Mr. Burke, Mr. Burke.
Anytime.
I was just smiling.
Mr. Burke. Easy. Okay. We will move on to 4.3. Presentation from Mr. Bill Norris with Norris Leal LLC. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. Just a brief update. You should have a little two-page summary. Things are moving along, a couple of milestones since the last time I came to visit. So the Texas Water Development Board approved the Phase 2 funding on, I think it was September 1st. So we were in attendance, Michael was there, and so there was really no questions. I think most questions get asked and answered well before the board meets on any of the areas. So that's a big milestone that we can continue on the second well and move forward. We still hold meetings about the first and the third Monday of the month with 7 Cs, making sure that we're moving along in both sides. The other milestone of this month is we received the administratively complete draft discharge permit, which is probably the longest lead time item that we have. And so we've advertised it in the paper, which is administratively complete. What that does is now we go for a technical review with the TCQ. So first is you dot the Ts, cross the Ts, dot the Is, and always get that wrong.
Yeah.
And so now they're going through the technical review, which in reality, we go through the technical review before we ever submit the permit with them. So there's no surprises to them and no surprises to us. So that's probably, we wait for comments on administratively complete. Then we'll have to advertise it again on the technical, after the technical review. So it just takes time to go through that process. Generally, probably around 6 months by the time they get through with it. So we are now preparing the environmental information document that's required now that we have the finalized on the discharge routing. We did want to go back and change it because you start over from scratch. So that's the other long lead time item that we have to comply with. So in the meantime, there is a schedule, apologize for the smallness of it, but the three main aspects of, we're in the process of reviewing 7 C's work. That's what you mainly hire us to make sure that you get what you pay for. And so the process design, the equipment and materials, we make sure that the materials are adequate to last beyond the 15-year contract with 7 C's. So we don't want them to last for 15. They give you the keys and it's not operational. So we want to make sure they put in exactly what needs to be put in. So we hope to get through with their design review hopefully by the end of this year, first part of next year. They can't construct it yet, but they're moving on, and so make sure that we don't fall behind on that part of it. But that pretty much concludes. Hopefully we'll have some at the next meeting or meeting after in December, hopefully have our technical review on the TCQ and move forward with that.
Council, any questions? Mr. Chris?
No.
Mr. Molina?
No, I'm good.
Mr. Burke?
No.
Mrs. Bowen?
All in all, we're on schedule, according to what you're...
As fast as we can go, yes.
Right? Yes.
We never promised it would be at the end of this year, but hopefully we can start construction probably in, I would say, spring,
Spring. Okay.
and see some dirt moving around.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well,
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. All right, we move on to our consent agenda. And before we move on to our consent agenda, I just want to say thank you, Mrs. Medrano, for sitting in and being here with us. For the public that's not met Mrs. Medrano, she is our, it was Chief Administrative Officer, but then now Assistant City Manager, so.
Yes, thank
Thank
you, Mayor.
you.
And our city manager is away on city business doing yeoman's work on behalf of the city, so he wishes he could be here, but trusted me to sit in his place. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so our consent agenda, all consent agenda items are considered to be routine by City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and voted on separately. 5.1, discuss, consider, and act upon approval of City Council minutes for September 20th, 2022 City Council meeting. Okay, council, any discussion or questions in reference to the minutes or this agenda item? Or having it moved? I'm sorry. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion to accept consent agenda item as presented.
Second. Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Agenda item number 6, individual consideration. 6.1, discuss, consider, and act upon adopting an annexation ordinance and service plan annexing 7,420.42 square feet of land in the city's extraterritorial, jurisdiction, such property being more particularly described and set forth in Exhibit A, attached and incorporated herein by reference, property. Okay, council, any questions or discussion on this agenda item?
Who's presenting?
Everything's correct. It's there, here on the east side of town, there close to the Walmart store, and that the owners of the property, they wish to do some additional business development there. However, the entire lot that's there is not in the city limits, and so they're annexing a corner of the property, the 7,420.42 square feet. So it comes into the city as well. And later on in your agenda packet, you're going to see that we're going to go ahead and approve a plat for that piece of property. But that's what's going on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Juanita, any questions? Mr. Burke?
No questions.
Mrs. Bowen?
No, thank you.
No? Okay. And if we have no other discussion or questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor.
My tongue's getting twisted, so.
I'd like to move for adoption of an annexation ordinance and service plan annexing 7,420.42 square feet of land in the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction, such property being more particularly described and set forth in Exhibit A, attached and incorporated herein by reference property.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Let's see. Okay, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 6.2, discuss, consider, and act upon a resolution authorizing tax resale on an offer to purchase tax sale property described as Lot 5, Block 1, H.F. McGill re-subdivision, an addition to the City of Alice, Jim Wells County, Texas, as described in Volume 225, page 101, Deed Records of Jim Wells County, Texas.
And Mayor, we do have a recommendation to table this item. We do have, staff has additional questions on the item, and there may have been a typo in the legal description of the property.
Okay. Council?
Motion to table.
Okay, we have a first and a second motion to table agenda item 6.2. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes to table. Thank you. 6.3, discuss, consider, and act upon a resolution authorizing tax resale on an offer to purchase tax sale property described as Lot 11, Block 1, Coal Shack Addition, an addition to the City of Alice, Jim Wells County, Texas, as described in Volume 806, page 414, Official Records of Jim Wells County, Texas. Did I pronounce that correctly? Okay.
We'll check.
It's better than I-
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. And we do have representatives here from Line Barker, Gogan, and Blair.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
Mr. Robert, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Good afternoon,
Welcome.
Madam Mayor, Council.
Hello.
My name is Robert Cuevas. I'm the office manager for Line Barker, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson out of Corpus Christi. I have joined Bettis here. She heads our Alice office here, and Mr. Salcedo, who is the attorney for our firm, had a previously scheduled meeting in Sinton with their city council today, so
Okay.
he sent me to present these offers to you for consideration. There's another one coming up, and answer any questions you might have regarding the property and the taxes that are owed and the liens that are owed against the property. This particular one is suit number 13081629 Beeben, Bolt ISD, and City of Alice ISD versus Israel Garcia and Esmeralda Garcia. This is Lot 11, Block 1, Kolchak Addition, City of Alice. And what we have provided you a bid analysis for this particular property. And this particular property is a vacant lot from what I remember, and it is. It's a vacant lot located at 604 Ida Street here in the City of Alice. And at this point, there are over $2,235 in costs. Those have to be paid from the offer that was made for $7,400. That comes off the top. Also, what comes off the top is the city lien that is filed at the time of judgment and forward. And right now, that amount is $558. Any cleanup lien that the city might have conducted at the time of judgment and going to the sale and today. So that will be paid in full also. The taxes you will receive after the costs and the lien are paid and the other jurisdictions, but your portion of taxes will be $771.01, which will pay all of the taxes, and you'll also get some extra money too on this particular property. There are some existing liens previous to our judgment that we will not be able to collect, and that's around $3,300, just to let you know. And that's basically the bid analysis for this, and the current value of this vacant lot is $1,410. Are there any questions regarding this particular vacant lot?
Council, Mrs. Bowen?
No, not at this moment, thank you.
Mr. Burke?
No.
Mr. Molina?
No, fine.
Mr. Chris?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I just wanted to ask, on here, you said our costs, those would be costs affiliated with our contract agreements, or is that?
Though the court costs, what that is, it's the, it includes all the filing fees, abstract fees, publication fees, sheriff fees, anything associated with the lawsuit, service of the defendants, the sale of the property, and just to let you know, that 558 is included in that amount. So out of that amount, you'll get the 558 on that one lien that was filed after the judgment.
Okay. And when you said previous liens, like what you just mentioned, how does that work, or how does that work moving forward with any other, or?
Yes, ma'am. We met with Mr. Lemon, our attorney, Steve Salcedo. We met several times last year about this particular issue. And the consensus was that anything, when we go to court, we file a lawsuit. This is before our current contract that we have now.
Okay.
And I hope I don't get too convoluted here. So at the time of when we file the lawsuit, okay, on these older cases, and we go to court, went to court, anything that was filed prior to the judgment is not considered collectible. Any cleanup lien that was filed after our judgment date, let's say it was February 1st of 18, I'm not sure what got the, is then collectible. It's considered a cost of the sale. So we collect that lien in full. If we have the money to pay it in full. The next one, I will explain, will not do that. But, I mean, I think we'll do that, yes. It's the one that was pulled. So anything prior to our judgment, we don't collect. Anything after, we do. Now, going forward, go ahead. Yes, sir.
And the reason why anything prior to the judgment is that, as we discovered on research, is that several of the past city liens were not included in the judgment. It was not presented at the time or part of the pleadings or evidence at the time of the rendition of the judgment. And so those items would not be collectible under the judgment. Okay.
Now that we have a contract with, to collect these special assessment liens, they will be included in any future judgment, and those will be collected at the time of the sale. Anything that's included will be included in the sale price of that particular property going forward.
Okay. Well,
Hope that
thank
wasn't
you.
too convoluted.
No, that's fine.
Because even I have to kind of like think it through. But yes, that's the answer.
I
So-
appreciate it. Thank you for that. If there's no other questions or discussion on this agenda item, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing tax resale on an offer to purchase tax sale property described as Lot 11, Block 1, Kolchak addition, in addition to the city of Alice, Jim Wells County, Texas, as described in volume 806, page 414, official records of the Jim Wells County, Texas.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have 6.4. Moving on to 6.4, discuss, consider, and act upon a resolution authorizing tax resale on an offer to purchase tax sale property described as 0.212 acre more or more, being of northern portion of Lot 16, Block 1, Langford Addition, Farm Block 58, Alice Farm Block Subdivision, in addition to the city of Alice, Jim Wells County, Texas, as described in deed dated April 20th, 1962, from E.M. Wilkes, and as it's, anyway, described as to Neil Brunston, et al., et al., in volume 211, page 29, deed records of Jim Wells County, Texas. I wasn't saying all. So,
Okay, for this particular property, we have an offer of $5,100. The amount due to all entities is $58,137.16. The current value is $27,471. And this particular property is a house located at 850 North Adams here in Alice. And let me update you, this afternoon we were updating all our information for the meeting, and we were just given an additional mowing lien of $300. So since this was filed after our judgment and after the sale, it's collectible. So this bid analysis is a little off. I didn't have time to do the math, but we will collect for you $800 in cleanup liens, or mowing liens, and that amount, that's $519.47 there in the city of Alice, will be a little less because of the fact that we're going to pay the mowing lien in full. Okay, so it'll be a little off, maybe $500 more or less. Now the cost of the sale, which included an original amount of $500, well now will be $2,368 because of that additional mowing lien that was just conducted. So I apologize for not having an updated bid analysis, but I just wanted to make sure y'all were aware that will be collected. And does anybody have any questions regarding this particular one?
Mr. Chris?
No.
Mr. Molina?
I'm good.
Mr. Burke?
No, ma'am.
Mrs. Bowen?
No, thank you.
And you said you're collecting an additional 300?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
so-
originally it was 500, that was
Yeah.
included in the cost, but this afternoon we were given an additional lien from the staff that a mowing lien was filed or conducted, and that will be collected because it came after the sale, so we need to collect it, we need to pay it.
But it lowers the amount that comes to us?
On the taxes.
Oh,
Because,
okay.
yeah, on the taxes,
Gotcha.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Just a little bit, it'll come down a little bit.
Okay.
I just didn't have time to calculate what you're gonna, it's gonna, just the taxes, you'll get a little bit less. But you're gonna get the mowing lien,
Okay.
okay?
Okay. Council, if there's no other questions or discussion, I'll entertain a motion on this agenda item.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve a resolution authorizing tax resale on an offer to purchase tax sale property described as 0.212 acre more or less, being the northern portion of Lot 16, Block 1, Langford Addition, Farm Block 58, Alice Farm Block subdivision, and in addition to the City of Alice, Jim Wells County, Texas, as described in deed dated April 20th, 1962, from E.M. Wilkes et us to Neil Brunston et al. In volume 211, page 29, deed records of Jim Wells County, Texas.
Second.
Okay. We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you, and we'll get with the staff on the first one. I was looking at the particular, that particular file. I see what you're saying. So we're gonna get you a copy of the deed, so you'll see for how we got the description, but
Okay.
I understand what you're saying about the
Okay.
description. Yeah, I get it.
Perfect.
It's just the way the deed reads, we left out a little bit, but it's okay. It's all the same property, but we'll bring
Okay.
it back later.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
thank
you,
you very much.
Robert.
Good to see
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate y'all.
Good to see
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, thank you, Joanne.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item 6.5, discuss, consider, and act upon approving a restrictive covenant on a portion of Blinka Road. You'll be presenting that?
That's going to be me. But fortunately, we have a representative from Schlumberger here.
Oh, okay.
And if you want me to try to explain it briefly to them, and if they have any questions, you can answer those questions.
Sounds perfect.
All right. In your package, you'll see you were given a map that showed some of the environmental remediation work that Schlumberger is doing out there in the proximity of Commerce Road. Blinka Road is a road that was platted, but we have never gone ahead and paved and developed. And if you all know where Drill Pipe is out there, it's Blinka Road, a portion of it is behind the Drill Pipe. And so you can look, and that's the map generally what you're looking at. But what they want to do is that Schlumberger has been conducting a remediation project out there under the observation of TECQ. The TECQ and Schlumberger have presented that it's reached a level of maximum remediation, that it's now, the contaminants out there are now diminishing, and that what Schlumberger wants to do with TECQ approval is to stop having to have monitoring wells in regards to this particular contamination thing. And one of the ways that they close the site is that the property owners out there enact a restrictive covenant. We're one of several out there, but we have a specific restrictive covenant running into the future forever, that there's never going to be a water well drilled out there. And while we have an ordinance, it's going to be their requirement to close the site and stop the well monitoring to have this restrictive covenant in there. And they provided us with a form that is, it appears to be an appropriate form and does everything that they want it to do. But pretty much that's it. Is that a good explanation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do y'all have any questions?
Mr. Chris?
No.
Mr. Molina?
No, I'm good.
Mr. Burke?
No.
Mrs. Bowen?
No, thank you.
No? Okay. Yes, I just wanted, I have just a couple of questions. So I think I read in there, it did say that, so what was happening is they were remediating something that had been contaminated within the grounds there, but how does that work?
And I'll let you go ahead and identify yourself for the record and then
Yes.
answer the mayor's question.
Name is Roger Gomez. I'm with Jacobs Engineering, and on behalf of Schlumberger. And the question is,
I was just, moving forward, if we're not gonna, are we gonna still be monitoring and
no.
collections,
no,
nothing? So that
according to
would,
TCEQ, we've, just like Mr. Lemon mentioned, that the contamination is below PCL's protective concentrations for residential use for that area. And there, according to TCEQ, there will be no further monitoring. And so once all this is approved, TCEQ approves the institutional control with Alice, and there will be no further monitoring. We'll be plugging and abandoning the monitoring wells. That's all out there.
okay. And this covenant then just goes ahead and kind of places it, like, for anyone in the future?
What it
if you want to
does-
sell or do, it has that would come up?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am, it's just as you would have in your practice as a Realtor. It's just a restrictive covenant into perpetuity. And that it just says nobody, we as the sole owner of the portion of property that we would be restricting, we just say, nobody can ever moving forward drill a well on this property. And so in your deed, when you buy it subject to reservations on file, or it specifically states this, then you would buy it with that specific restriction that you can never do those things on the property.
Right. All right, thank you. All right, if no further questions or discussion, I'll entertain a motion. Thank you, I'm so sorry. I'll entertain a motion on this agenda item.
May I make a motion approving the restrictive covenant on the specified portion of Lincoln Road?
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Agenda item 6.6, discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing city manager to enter into and sign a contract with GoToConnect to upgrade phones at city offices.
Mayor, I can make
Yes.
this real fast for you. I'm going to request that you table it because I will tell you the first contract that I looked at, and I haven't looked at another one, it was incomplete. There were references to items that were attached, and in your agenda packet, none of those things are attached. And so I wasn't able to review it and tell you. So I'd tell you right now, don't sign it. There's a lot of things that the city manager needed to discuss in regards to terms of the contract. And so you can approve, you can say for him to sign it, but I'm going to tell him not to sign it. I'm not going to approve it.
Mrs. Medrano, did you have?
So why don't we, if you allow Jim to present on the concept, on what he's proposing, and then maybe,
My goodness, your attorney just
Table.
told you that he hadn't reviewed the contract, that there were terms missing from the contract.
but conceptually, can he present on the concept of the phone? It's not necessarily on the terms of the contract, but
Take no
As
risk.
a
Discuss, consider, and
presentation
act
item.
upon authorizing city manager to enter into and sign a contract with GoToConnect to upgrade phones at city offices. So the consideration tonight would be to authorize the city manager to enter into and sign a contract with GoToConnect to upgrade the phones at the city offices. And so, I mean, I don't want necessarily to be out of order, but I guess you have to discuss the terms of what's going to go on to it to do that. But, I mean, you're not going to take any action on it.
You just table
that's
it?
fine. I mean, there's not a rush to pass the item, just didn't want to, lose out on council being exposed to the idea of what Jim is proposing, but we can,
Well, and actually, we've been putting it off for quite a while. I'm not sure if the same deal's going to be there after this particular time. We've been dragging it on a bit, but yeah, I'd like to tell you about it real quick.
And I can tell you, I've had discussions with the city manager in these regards, very brief discussions with Jim about it. He questioned me in regards to what the issues were. I told him the things that he needed to talk with the city manager. I have no idea if they discussed it. I was never presented the modified issues, but the contract that I was provided with was incomplete. It referenced items that were not in there. For instance, the contract referenced orders in regards to services or things that they were going to be providing that were not attached to the contract. So, I mean, I'm just going to say that we not enter into, or recommend that we not enter into a contract with GoToConnect.
Can I take 5 minutes just to tell you about it, and then y'all can think
Council.
about it?
Are you all opposed to hearing just the presentation, no action to be taken? Is that out of
Well, we'll
order
table it,
for this?
right?
I request that you table it. That's my request.
Right.
Because I
I
would
mean,
prefer-
especially if, right now with the statement that it could not be, the same presentation couldn't be the next time it comes around. I mean, at this point, it's, what we're hearing, I mean, we have some information, but what we're about to hear, you just potentially said the deal couldn't be on the table any longer next time we come back to council. So
It's
at this
possible.
point, I mean, it's possible, so I think that we just hear it all at one time.
Well, worst case, we have an emergency meeting, just meet up before, whatever. I'm up for that.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, between now and then,
Yeah, I think that's,
I'm open to
we should
that.
table it.
Motion to table.
Second. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Good, Jim.
we have.
Thanks, Jim.
We haven't voted on it, but, I'm sorry. We have a first and a second to motion to table this agenda item. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay,
Thank
so,
you.
motion to table. See, let's move on to agenda item 6.7. Discuss, consider, and act upon accepting and approving a final plat of Acadian Estates, a 7.857 acre tract of land out of that 20.693 acre tract described in volume 654, pages 92 to 95 of the Jim Wells County Official Public Records of Jim Wells County, Texas, and being a portion of Block 54 and Block 55, Alice Farm Block subdivision. Okay, who's presenting this?
So there is some content in the package. We do have a couple of staff members here who can speak to the item. We have Anthony, we also have Esteban. I don't know if he can hear us, but it's a good news item. It's a discuss, consider, and act upon a final plat for a potential mixed-use development area, but I'll let Anthony kind of describe it a little bit more.
Welcome, Anthony.
Anthony Reese, Code Enforcement Officer for the city. So this is on North Texas Boulevard. They're proposing just the plat right now. It's going to rezone is going to come at a later time. So at the present, it's just going to be what they're proposing is lots 2, 3, 4, 6, and 9 as R5 townhouse residential district, lots 1, 10, 11 to R1, and lot 8 to B3 commercial. The P&Z board approved it unanimously.
Okay. Council, any questions? Mr. Chris? Okay. I'll come back to you.
Yeah, it's fine.
Mr. Molina? Any questions?
Yeah, it's kind of confusing. What are the significance of the yellow, pink, and yellow boxes? I'm sorry, yellow, pink, and blue boxes?
I believe the yellow is the business where they're gonna,
I'm sorry?
the yellow is the business section.
Okay.
The pink is the townhouse, and R1 is the blue.
So the R1 would be residential homes, the R5 are townhomes, and then the B3 would be some sort of commercial.
And we're replaying all these sections?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, right now it's just on the plat.
Yeah. Okay.
This is on the far end of North Texas Boulevard, you're saying?
Yes.
It's kind of close to Anderson Park.
It's past the creek, past the little bridge area?
I believe so.
Yes.
Okay, I see the small map over here.
So if you scroll, you want me to show you where Texas Boulevard?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I had it zoomed in, I couldn't see the little map in the
So
corner.
Texas is
Oh,
right
there it
here,
is.
and Anderson Park would be like right here.
On this side, okay.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Mr. Burke?
No.
Mrs. Bowen?
No, thank you.
Mr. Chris?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Yes.
I know where it's at now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, council, I'll entertain a motion on this agenda item.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve a final plat of Arcadian Estates, a 7.857 acre tract of land out of that 20.693 acre tract described in volume 654, pages 92 through 95 of the Jim Wells County Official Public Records of Jim Wells County, Texas, and being a portion of Block 54 and Block 55, Alice Farm Block subdivision.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Agenda item 6.8, hold a public hearing to discuss, consider, and act upon adopting an ordinance to rezone San Jose Edition, Lot 16, Block 2, known as vacant land number 16, Staples Street from R3 Special 2 Family District to B3 Business District as shown by map thereof recorded in volume 1069, page 622, transcribed map records, Jim Wells County, Texas.
So this is this was a request to rezone from R3 to B3. There is a property owner who requested to operate a mobile food truck in an adjacent property that they own, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted against it 5-0. So their concern was possible traffic congestion, but there are, it's also an ordinance that you can't have a mobile food truck in one location for more than 5 consecutive days. And so this is a request to keep the food truck there pretty much permanently when not in use at other locations.
Council, any questions on this agenda item?
Yes. Real quick, I know that it was, you voted against unanimously. My question is this, a B3 business district, what does that entail? Like, how far does that go? Because right now we're talking about a food truck, but what keeps it from turning into a trucking company in a week?
Great question.
Middle of property.
Esteban, can you answer that, or? Let's see. Wasn't sure if you could hear.
Residential property.
Did you hear the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, my name is
Hi.
Esteban Guerra. I work for the engineering department. And basically, when you change the zoning to a B3, you, pretty much any kind of business can go under at that time. So if the food truck is there and then it leaves later on, they can still build something commercial there.
And that's where I have a problem with this, is opening the door up. And then, aside from that, we're also opening up the door to start having food trucks in all neighborhoods. Our planning and zoning has done their job, as far as their assignments, and they have reviewed and looked at this and decided unanimously against it. So I fall in line. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Molina?
No questions.
Mr. Burke?
question.
Mrs. Bone?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's no further questions or discussion on this agenda item, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, did you open public hearing?
Oh, I did not. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. I will open our public hearing at this time. It is 5:22 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Lemon, for keeping me in check. Okay, anyone wishing to step forward on this agenda item, you're welcome to step forward and speak on this agenda item at this time. Seeing no one wishing to step forward in reference to this agenda item, I will close the public hearing. It is 5:23 p.m. Okay. I'll entertain a motion on this agenda item at this time, if there's no further discussion or questions, council.
Mayor, I make a motion to deny the rezone at this given point.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Okay. So it is unanimous to deny. I'm just saying that because it's a little, okay. This agenda item, so motion passes. Thank you, council. We'll move on to 6.9, discuss, consider, and act upon accepting and approving a proposed plat for area to be annexed, being 1.699 acres, more or less, out of 276.3756 acres, more or less, out of the out of the Adams Presnell Farms tract, a map of which is recorded in Volume 1, page 12, map records of Jim Wells County, Texas, and being described as number 3 tracts of land, with the first tract containing 131.4785 acres, the second tract containing 136.07 acres, and the third tract containing 8.3271 acres, being all of the same land conveyed from the Mullen Foundation to Newell W. Atkinson III by deed dated June 16, 1977, and recorded in Volume 366, page 385, deed records, Jim Wells County, Texas. Okay, council, or who's presenting this? I'm sorry.
So this is a continuation of, or the second step to the 6.1 item. And you'll see that the motion language is a proposed plat. And so what was in your packets is just that, it's a proposed plat. It doesn't reflect the annexation, obviously, since the council just approved that today with item 6.1. So basically, the approval would be contingent on a final plat map.
Ms. Mercado is absolutely correct. The thing that needs to come out of the proposed plat is that line that shows where the current city limits line is at right now. And so other than that, it's correct and approved. And so with the contingency that they go ahead and make that change, then we would ask that the city go ahead and approve the plat condition.
Okay.
So the
Council,
motion,
any questions?
I guess you had broken it down into 3 sections, right? Am I correct? 3 districts or 3 sections here. Or, no.
Oh, I see, and being described as 3 tracts of land with the first
Yes.
tract containing. Esteban, can you answer that question?
Because, I mean, the map, we have the map in front of us, and but it's not near as clean as some of the other ones that we've got in
Right.
the past. And I don't see a problem with it, I just want to be
Yeah.
clear on what we're moving forward with.
I wish
What
we
that's
had like
going on there is those
Elmo.
3 tracts are describing the 276.3756
This is the-
acre tract.
Okay?
So it's not really broken up into 3 tracts. It's describing the 276 acre tract that this plat is coming out of.
That we're, okay.
So it's really 1.699 acres. That's what it is.
And that would be on the map, which section exactly is that?
It's the top corner.
It kind of looks like it's almost a
triangle.
perfect triangle.
The top corner
Okay.
is the annexation
It's the
part.
annexation.
That's the
Yeah, that's
annexation.
annexations, and the
Bottom
lines.
portion is the 1.6.
That entire rectangle that's in the center of the diagram, that is the area that we are replatting,
Okay,
that entire drawing.
okay.
And what needs to come out is the diagonal line at that upper, let's say, Esteban, maybe northwest or
Northwest.
northeast, or whatever.
Or
corner
north,
it is.
yeah, northwest. It needs to go around the whole tract of land.
Right,
All right.
that line will be,
Very good. Now it'll shoot up in the corner.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
yeah, that's what it is.
Thank you for clarifying. Nothing else, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Paulini?
No, I'm good.
Mr. Burke? Okay. Mrs. Bowen?
No, thank you.
Okay. If there's no other discussion or any other questions, I will entertain a motion on this agenda item.
Mayor, I make a motion approving the plat for area of annexed being 1.69 acres, more or less, out of 276.3756 acres, more or less, out of the Adams Personal
Presnell.
Farm. What's that?
Presnell?
Presnell farm tracts, a map of which is recorded in Volume 1, page 12, map records of Jim Wells County, Texas, and described as 3 tracts of land with the first tract containing 131.4785 acres, the second tract containing 136.07 acres, and a third tract containing 8.3271 acres, being all the same land, conveyed from the Mullen Foundation to Newell W. Atkinson III by deed June 16, 1977, the recorded in volume 366, page 385, deed records, Jim Wells County, Texas, contingent on the
The alterations as presented to council.
as presented to council.
Second.
Annexation.
Second. Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. 6.10, discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing city manager to engage the firm of Santos McBain Management and Planning for the purpose of applying for and/or securing a SRTS sidewalk and/or transportation alternative set aside TASA safe routes to school infrastructure. SRTS calls for projects.
Thank you, Mayor. So we do have Haley or Madison? Haley, okay, Haley Satterwhite here today with Santos McBain Management and Planning. And the city manager is seeking to engage them in the application of a Safe Routes to School infrastructure grant. And the city has applied at least 2 years in the past. And while we made it past the first level, did not proceed in the process. They are extremely competitive grants. And so through research, staff discovered that Santos McBain has a really good track record of assisting cities and organizations with increasing their chances of being awarded the grant. So I'll let Haley share some information with you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Haley Satterwhite, and I am the Director of Research Grants and Programs for Santos McBain. Real quick, before I get started, I am going to pass around our proposal and a timeline for you that I'll read during our discussion. They have it.
They got us.
Okay, and I'll just give you the timeline.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Haley.
I only brought this, actually, 1 second. I think I have it actually.
Thank you, ma'am.
So this afternoon, I will start off with a company introduction. Santos McBain is a Coastal Bend-based government consulting firm. We are in our 10th year in business. We specialize in grant writing, grant administration, and consulting services for project implementation and initiatives across the Coastal Bend region. As the grants director, I currently am administering over $13.5 million in grant-funded projects for our city and county clients. Additionally, I've been instrumental in developing and writing numerous grant applications, including 8 TxDOT transportation alternative applications, bringing over $5 million to the Coastal Bend region. There was a short brief about the TxDOT Transportation Alternatives Program, also known as Safe Routes to Schools or the Transportation Alternatives Set Aside Program. The program has multiple names. Every 2 to 4 years, this name is changed. The program is administered by the state of Texas, but is funded by the U.S. Department of Transportation. The program is funded every other year with applications being received on odd-numbered years. There is a 2-step process, which is the preliminary application and the detailed application. First, you're invited to submit a preliminary application. If this application is funded, then you're invited back to, or not is funded, is approved, then you're invited back to submit the detailed application. During the last funding cycle, pre-applications were due March 1st, with full applications due in June. So far by their timeline, it looks like they're going to be starting a month early. We won't officially know until the call for projects is released, which will be on December 2nd of 2022. We have been successful in securing funding for 8 TxDOT-TP grant applications, again totaling over $5 million for the Coastal Bend region. Just to show how competitive this application can be, I have some statistics. In 2019, 398 applications were submitted. Total approved amount was 30. Santos McBain wrote 4 of those 30 applications, which was 13.33% of the funding. So we secured funding for over $2.2 million for our clients. In 2021, total submitted applications was 139. 41 were approved, and Santos McBain wrote 2 of those 41 applications, or 4.8%. That year, we brought over $1.4 million to our clients. So the TxDOT-TP call for projects is released every 2 years. The call for projects will be released on December 2nd of 2022. We're not sure when the grant is due until the call for project is released. In the past, the program has been either a 80% grant with a 20% local match, or 100% grant with a 0% local match. We usually know more of that when the call for projects is released. And there are also 2 options when it comes to engineering for these projects. The first option is the city pays for engineering. The second option is TxDOT pays for engineering. If TxDOT pays for engineering, it reduces the city's competitiveness of the application. Our scope of work is outlined in the proposal, but we will provide grant writing services, project development and expansion, and project coordination for the submission of a TxDOT-TP grant application. We believe the 2023 application could be phase 1 of a multi-phased project. Of course, we would work with the mayor, city council, city staff to create a multi-phase project. This project would connect schools, churches, after-school programs, libraries, residential areas, and other city sectors and public spaces. The timeline that I passed out, we would start with establishing a route, and that would be done within the next 3 weeks, starting next Monday. Following that step, it would be establishing a multi-phase project, a draft project scope, a preliminary site plan, preliminary cost estimates, finalized project scope, and then stakeholder engagement. This stakeholder engagement would include community surveys, letters of support from state representatives, your independent school district, your economic development corporation, your county judge, city council members, and then residents along the route, business owners along the route, and then any citizens benefiting directly from the route. We would also suggest that the city pass a resolution saying that the city's intent is to develop projects, acquire funding, and construct projects to match the community, make the community more walkable and accommodating while connecting to public places, to conduct business at banks, city halls, the county courthouse, for those who may be riding a bike, a motorized wheelchair, or just walking. Are there any questions or comments this afternoon?
Mr. Cruz.
And then this resolution would be requested at a later date?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's on the timeline. It would be with the stakeholder engagement, the third from the bottom.
No, I'm good. Well, I guess I do have a question real quick. So, the way y'all are funded is if y'all get the grant, y'all get funding. If y'all don't get the grant, y'all don't get funding?
Yes, sir. Our proposal is on a contingency fee basis, meaning we will do all the work for the pre-application and the full application. If the project does not get funded, then you don't owe us anything
At all.
at all.
Putting that out there. All right. That's all I had. Anybody willing to go get us money and it ain't gonna cost us nothing, I'm good with it.
Mr. Molina?
Question. Thank you for the presentation. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Mrs. Bowman?
So if we get the grant, you get your money out of the grant money? Is that what you're saying?
No, ma'am, grant
How do you get
administration
paid?
or grant writing is not included in the TxDOT Transportation Alternatives Program.
So we end up paying you out of our general
Yes.
fund? Okay, just want to clarify that.
But it's money otherwise that we're having trouble getting a hold of now, right?
Yes, sir.
Pretty much, yes.
Because we don't know the, whatever.
Yes, sir, and then
You
there's
gotta
the
make sure you
option.
check all the right boxes, that's.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask you, so this would be going after grants that would help for sidewalks, or what is this exactly?
Yes, ma'am. The Texas Department of Transportation Alternative Programs is for sidewalk. They want to focus on safe routes to schools. We've done before along the sidewalk, you can place benches. So mainly sidewalks, and it's just for the 2023 fiscal year TxDOT grant, this proposal. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you'll be working alongside with our city staff to identify those areas and
Yes.
our needs? Okay.
Yes, that will be our first step, is meeting with your city manager and your city staff and whoever y'all would like to develop the route. I know in the past they have submitted an application, so it'd be whether we'd expand that route, maybe not expand it, or keep it the same.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, just so that we're all on the same page here again. We get the grant, none of the funding from the grant can go towards the grant development, for y'all.
Fees.
But the fees. So, up to $1 million, we're looking at potentially having an expense of $47,000 to get $1 million worth of work.
Yes, sir.
$47,500. Just want to put these kind of numbers out there when people
Right.
are going out there to get these grants, that yes, it will have to come out of our general fund, but we're getting $1 million put, and I'm just saying potentially, right, because that's where it goes to zero thereafter. Potentially $1 million worth of what we're looking for, that'll only cost us $47,500. So, I mean, I just wanted to put those numbers out there so the general public, when they're listening, that when we make decisions like this to engage companies of this manner, they're going out there, putting themselves on the line and spending this time in order to make us money. And yes, it could cost us potentially money, but we're looking at pennies on the dollar, so,
Yes.
thank you.
Is it 47.5 or 37.5?
I got,
47.
It's 47, it's 20, hold on, it's 35,000 for the first $500,000, and then 12.5, if I'm not mistaken, for the next $250,000, and then zero thereafter.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. And I know there's a need in our neighborhoods because we've had our citizens reach out and say, so I look forward to hopefully we can secure a grant to fulfill those things.
Have some sidewalks y'all walk on.
Yeah.
And these are grants that there's so much, I mean, the distance has to be so far from school, right? I mean, it's not all over the city, it's just that area.
Well, initially, it's better like closer to the school. But then as you continue, they like to see a drawn-out, multi-phase project.
Okay.
So let's say your school's down here, but you're gonna connect all the way to your post office down here. Maybe a church that offers after-school programs.
Got it.
So they want a connectivity route.
That's great, okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank y'all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Haley.
Thank y'all.
So council, if there's no further questions or discussion, I'll entertain a motion on this agenda item.
Mayor, I make a motion authorizing city manager to engage firm Santos McBain Management and Planning for the purpose of applying for and/or securing a SRTS sidewalks sidewalk and/or transportation alternatives set aside, TASA, Safe Routes to School Infrastructure, SRTS, calls for projects.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed, same sign. Did you say you were in agreement?
No.
Better? No? Okay. Okay, yes, so motion passes. Thank you. Okay, agenda item 6.11. Here's status report on September 2022 month-end financial statement summary of funds and delivery of September 2022 check registers.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Hold on one second.
Needs his clicker.
Appreciate it. Need my clicker. How are y'all doing this evening?
Good.
Just before I start, just to let y'all know, obviously this is the end of the fiscal year, but none of these numbers are final until we get our final audit back. Okay? So I'd like to start off with Exhibit A. So this is the financials for the 12th month ending September 30th, 2022. Our general fund revenues are $12,785,223. Property tax budget was $2,926,000, and year-to-date, we have received $2,870,501. Exhibit B, we have our M&O and INS 2022 of $4,015,625. Last year, we were showing $3,922,712, so we're roughly $93,000 above that mark. Going back to Exhibit A, sales tax was budgeted at $6,067,249, and as of through July, we have $5,371,721. Exhibit C, we have our sales tax budget versus actual, and this includes the month of August. August collection was $590,636, and that's $85,000 above target. 2022 budget is $5,561,644, and we have an actual of $5,962,357, so $400,000 over budget. And of course, this is a revised budget. In the beginning of the year, we're at $440 monthly budget, and now we revised it to just over $505,000.
So we're well above.
Yes, sir.
Proposed at the beginning.
Right. Exhibit D, we have an actual 2022 versus 2021, and we have the increase of $904,104 over previous year to date. Exhibit E, our general fund expenditures. Year to date, we've expended $14,001,063, and just some of our larger departments, general service is at about 107%, and here at the end of the year, we had to do some AC repairs, so that kind of kicked us over the budget. Fire department, like we've spoken about month after month with TIFMAS, we were at about 123,000, but Patrick's not here, but Vanessa and Patrick's team worked together. We submitted the final TIFMAS, or we're submitting the final of the TIFMAS, and just to give you an idea, we had 955,000 of overtime for the fire department. Of that, we should be looking at 570,000 reimbursed. We also have another 74,000 reimbursed for travel and another 23,000 for equipment. So all in all, we're looking to get reimbursed 663,000 for the fire department. So when you put that in perspective, when we get that, Patrick's under budget for the year. I know it doesn't show up here and everything, but we want to give them a pat in the back, and Vanessa and the team for going out for that, so hopefully that'll come in pretty quick. Exhibit F, revenues versus expenditures for all funds. General fund, we show a negative $1.2 million, 15,840. Solid waste, we have a negative 715,249. And the utility fund, we have a negative 52,865. Again, just to touch on that, these aren't final numbers. The 1.2 for the general fund, that does not include August's sales tax of the 590. It doesn't include the 663,000 we're talking about for TIFMAS. You put those two in there that we're thinking we're going to get reimbursed, and that's zeroed out. We also have one more month of sales tax to collect. So right now, I know it looks like a negative 1.2, but in all reality, without sales tax, we're already at zero for the year, so we should be okay. And going on to the final slide, revenue over expenditures comparing 2021 versus 2022. General fund was at a negative $2,003,013 last year, and this year we have the 1.2 million. Solid waste was at a negative 196,656, and now we're at a negative 715,249. Again, to the repairs or anything, we turned in the last of the rentals, so we should start off next year in a better situation. And utility fund was at 431,386, and now we're at a negative 52,865. So those are the financials as of September.
Okay. Council, any questions? Mrs. Bowen?
No, thank you.
Mr. Burke?
No.
Mr. Molina?
Thank you, Gabriel. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chris?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, staff, for all your hard work.
Whenever you have time.
Vanessa?
Okay. And moving on to agenda item number 7, adjournment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a first and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay. Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned. It is 5:50 PM today. Thank you.